Hello and welcome to UT Health San Antonio Leadership Podcast, the show that profiles individuals in leadership positions at UT Health San Antonio. I'm your host, Celeste Rodriguez, and today we're going to talk about personal growth, success, and doing everything it takes to make lives better. Monique has been a part of UT Health for 18 years and received her master's in accounting from UTSA and a master's in healthcare services from UT Rio Grande Valley. Join me for a one-on-one conversation with Mrs. Lopez as we talk about her path to leadership and the vision and values that shaped her career. Please welcome Mrs. Monique Lopez. Thank you, Monique, so much for being here and joining us today on the Leadership Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Number one, really for me, on kind of the manager side, the financial operations side, I want to pick your brain also today. So,
Sure.
so you can stop me if there's anything you don't want me to ask. But number one, I want everyone here to know, what does the Senior Director of Business Service Quality do here at UT Health San Antonio?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. So as the Senior Director of Business Service Quality, you may know that we changed our operating model a few years ago.
Right.
As an organization, we changed the way we provide services for things like HR, our IT, marketing communications, finance, research administration. So my role really works closely with those service teams in a variety of different ways. Mm-hmm. I support service excellence, customer service. We want to ensure that the services are meeting the needs of the individual departments. To some degree, we want to ensure a standard level of support across services.
Make sure everyone's getting kind of the equal services.
Sure.
And everything's mapped out. And has it really only been 2 years? I feel like it's been longer.
Yes, it has.
Really? Okay.
It has been 2 years.
Well, good, because on the receiving end of it, I couldn't agree more with the need for it, because when I started 10 years ago, it seemed like everyone was doing their own kind of process, and it didn't always make sense. You know, what was the best practice, really?
Sure.
So I feel like that's a big part of what the tasks you've been given. How has that gone so far?
It's gone really great. I think it's been a wonderful experience, at least for me. Mm-hmm. The model is changed, I think, the organization a lot. I think for the better. One other thing I think that the model's really brought is the commitment to continuous process improvements. Mm-hmm. Although we did that before, I think the model has really opened it up so that folks are more open to listening to feedback. So part of my role is to support those process improvements across all teams. Sometimes the improvement is across multiple functions.
Right, yeah.
So I help facilitate that either through design of brand new processes or redesigning current processes. And one of the things I think is most important is the feedback.
Right.
So listening to what the organization is telling me from faculty, staff, from the most service teams themselves, mm-hmm. from leadership, what is it that we need to change, and how can we really make lives better? How can we
Yes, that's why
eliminate
we're
the
here.
burden?
And what was kind of the most surprising and shocking thing to you going through this process? What shocked you the most or surprised you the most?
I would have to say probably just the change.
Yeah.
Folks, change is hard.
Oh, always. Especially here, because, there's so many people that have been here for so long. They're like, why do we have to do it that way? Or why do we have to do it this way? And sometimes I'm like, we don't need a paper form for this. We can do it online
Sure.
or electronically, right? And that's just a small example. But I think change is hard regardless in such a big institution.
It is. Change is hard, and I think most surprising to me was working with the varying levels of change. Mm-hmm. Some people accept it quickly, some people are kind of in the middle, and some people are at the tail end. And so just being able to accommodate the rate of change that people accept and will adopt was pretty interesting for me.
I can only imagine. Now tell me about your team. Who do you manage, and what do they do?
Sure. I actually consider myself as part of a number of different teams, mm-hmm. but just directly I have 2 business analysts. They help me analyze the data. Mm-hmm. They help me put together the data for quality, making sure that we're meeting, again, that service excellence, that customer service. Mm-hmm. And they also take other types of data and turn it into something that's visual, shareable reports and dashboards. I have heard from HR, though, that I am an honorary HR member. So I like to
I can only imagine.
That's just with my close work with that team. And so I'm happy to be an honorary member of the HR folks. But I do consider myself part of all of the teams, an
And
active member.
how many most teams are there? Just so everyone
sure.
knows.
So we've got finance, research administration, marketing and communications, web and digital strategy, IT, HR. The School of Medicine specifically has credentialing and also faculty recruitment, or what they call faculty process support.
Like Faculty Life and all the ones that do that. So that's 8, right?
It's quite a bit, yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. And tell me about, are you a native Texan? Are you from here?
I am. I am a native Texan. I am born and raised in San Antonio, so I've been here my entire life.
Really? Okay, so what side of town did you grow up on? Because that's always the question when you're from San Antonio.
This side, actually.
Really?
Right around the medical center in Leon Valley area.
And you've been here since 2005, so almost 18 years, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're invested in the community for
Yes.
sure. And tell me, what was your first job?
My first job, I was actually a waitress. I worked at Carrabba's Italian Grill for a short period of time, and then I moved my waitressing job to an assisted living facility for the Marriott. So I worked in the dining room. I worked the dinner shift in that assisted living community, and during the weekends I worked brunch. So there were residents that lived in the community. They would come down to eat either dinner or brunch. So it was an interesting role, getting to know folks, what they liked to eat and what they didn't.
I'm sure just a conversation too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Listening to what they did before retirement and before coming to the community, it was interesting to hear all the things that they had accomplished in their lives.
And after graduating high school, or maybe in high school, did you know what you wanted to do professionally, and did that ever change?
I did know, and it did change.
Yeah? What did you want?
I wanted to be a chemical engineer.
Okay.
So I spent the first few years of college as a chemistry major. During that time, I left my waitressing job, and I started working at a small awning and sign company. And at that company, I did bookkeeping. So I did accounts payable, receivable, reconciliations, payroll. I did all sorts of things there, and it really opened up the accounting world to me. So I actually changed my chemistry major, and I'm actually an accountant by trade.
Okay, and did you do all of your schooling here in San Antonio as well?
I did not. I got my bachelor's and master's at UTSA, and I have a second master's from UTRGV.
Okay, so how many masters do you have?
2.
2, okay. Do you need 2? Yeah, you do.
So you don't need 2.
You're just an overachiever, Monique. So the one that you have, one is in health sciences, right? And then accounting. Are
Yes,
those the
an
2?
MBA.
Okay. And do you feel like those have really prepared you to help in your role now that you're doing?
I think that they have. A lot of the work, in the master's program, there's a lot of hands-on work that you work with different professionals and coming up with different projects. I think it's helped tremendously.
Perfect. And regarding this role, now I know you've been here at Utasca for 18 years, but along the lines, have you had a mentor here or even outside of here? Yeah,
I have. So when I started in the accounting office back in 2005, Andrea Marks was actually the Assistant Vice President of Business Affairs. And so I'm fortunate enough to actually report directly to Andrea, but during my 18 years here, she has been a wonderful mentor to me this entire time.
That's amazing. Yeah, especially with her, such longevity, and she's grown all the way up as well. Yeah, that's awesome. And what is your greatest passion, Monique, both professional and personal?
In terms of my professional passion, I would say it's really process improvement. It's been a reoccurring theme since I first started my career here. It's something I love to do. I kind of love digging into those processes and making change. So process improvement for me is really a passion. My personal passion, of course, is family. My husband and I have been together for 25 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
25 years.
And I come from a large family. I'm close to my in-laws. So I'm really lucky to have a great family.
You come from a large family.
I do.
How many siblings did you have?
I'm one of 6.
One of 6. Yeah. Yeah, that's and I feel, and are they all here in San Antonio too? Oh yeah. See, you're not going anywhere. What high school did you go to?
I went to several, but I graduated from Holmes High School.
From Holmes High School. Yeah, right around this area.
Yeah.
And I think, are they the ones that have the health careers now also? Or is it near there?
I think it's near there.
Okay.
I know they had a business school, but
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Not that long. And how would you describe your leadership style?
I would describe myself as inclusive, or at least I would hope others would describe me that way. I really like folks to be able to provide their input into what it is we're trying to achieve. You know, as a leader, you sometimes have to set the direction, or almost always set the direction. But I like to give folks the flexibility to decide how to get there. The path that they're going to take is going to be different than the person next to them. So I like folks to have a way to contribute, to be able to share their ideas, to share their knowledge with in a project. I like them to have the opportunity to learn things that may be outside of their scope. I think that's important. And I also, lastly, like folks to understand what their contribution is, not only at the granular level. So, okay, great, this is what I have to do on my to-do list today, but how does that contribution roll up to the bigger picture, to what we're doing at a department level, at a dean's office level, at an organization level? How does that help? I like them to see where it is their impact rolls up to.
Great. Yeah, I think that helps them also be invested in the process, in the company, here in the institution. How do you foster growth with your team?
I like to set goals, but I give them some leeway into, I like my team to have some leeway into what those goals are, although I do make some suggestions. I like them to tell me what it is that they like. So although I might see their strengths and encourage that direction, I also want them to find something that they're passionate about or something they're just interested in. So I think it's really about giving opportunity when I can, and sharing any knowledge I have related to things outside of what they might normally experience or might normally hear. So if I know,
Right.
I'll tell you.
You're like, here, let me throw you in this environment,
Right.
and see how that works out for you. And what's the most important leadership lesson that you've learned, and how has it proven to be invaluable?
I would say the most important lesson is listening. Is particularly with most, it's really being listening, being able to take that perspective and then stand in the shoes of that perspective. So because I'm really passionate about process improvement and change, it's not exciting to everybody as it is to me. So, I need to be able to say, how is this going to impact faculty? How is this going to impact staff? How is this going to impact the organization? And then put myself in their shoes and look at it from their perspective, and take the best path forward.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, because not only once you do listen, but then you also have that huge empathy for, what they're going through, how this impacts them too. So I think that's very considerate, especially for such a big project and endeavor that you've had to help roll out. So
Sure.
I appreciate that. On the receiving end of some of these processes, to see it kind of come to fruition from start to finish of, wait, what do you mean? We're going to, because it was edge, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, we're going to be edged out. Like that was the motto. And then we're like, okay, we're changing it to most, and this is more inclusive, and we have these certain processes for improvement. And I think as long as we can all see the bigger picture on how this is making it better, then just so you know, on the receiving end,
That's great to hear.
we're cool with it. There's some people that are cool with it. I'll say that. No, I'm just kidding. Most of us are. What project in your career are you most proud of?
I've worked on a lot of projects in my time here. PeopleSoft upgrades and different things. I've loved every project that I've worked on.
PeopleSoft? You were one of those? Okay, you're the one to blame for that. No, I'm kidding.
I was on a PeopleSoft upgrade back in, I don't even know, 2008 or something.
I remember that because we used to actually do vouchers when I started on paper. Like you had to turn in a piece of paper to pay someone, and then thank you, Monique, for allowing us.
I wasn't part of the decision making at the time. I had to do the smoke testing and the 2B documents and things like that. But
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't even imagine all of the things y'all had to go through to get that process. But that's a huge example of something small, but it improved faster payments, faster processing. That's one huge thing
for sure.
And then, of course, also most, right?
Yeah, most is what I'd say I'm most proud of. Before this role 2 years ago, I had a position as the Director of Finance in the School of Medicine Dean's office. And so in that role, I had the opportunity to stand up the financial service for the School of Medicine and also the post-award service. And so I'd have to say that being able to be on the ground level and setting up the foundation and the principles of what that service was going to look like and kind of seeing it come to fruition today across all services, I think I'd have to say I'm most proud of at least my recent involvement, my role in the implementation and the evolution of most.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be one of those huge projects that's going to have, it's just going to be the standard from here on out,
Sure.
you know? And I think it's very helpful to me, who has to deal with all of those offices, all 8 of those offices you mentioned earlier. And tell me about a challenging time, either professionally or personally, and what did you do to overcome this?
Sure. So I remember, I joined the accounting office in 2005, and I was in the accounting office for 7 years. I moved to the School of Medicine in the Department of Psychiatry. So I became the manager of finance in the Department of Psychiatry. And when I joined the department, the chair at the time, Dr. Delgado, there wasn't a department administrator. He had hired one, but she hadn't arrived yet. She was coming from out of state. There wasn't a finance manager. And it was budget season.
Oh, gosh.
So
That's a setup, Monique. I don't know why you said yes to that one.
Maybe because I didn't know at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? They got one over on me there.
And don't tell me it was during budget season also, because that would just be the icing on the cake.
It was during budget season.
Okay.
Not only was it during budget season, but the budget was due in about a week. And the current state of the budget was in about $1 million deficit. And I didn't know at all how to put together a department budget. I had been an accountant. I had managed state appropriations and financial reporting, but in terms of putting together a department level budget, I didn't quite have the right perspective yet on what faculty, what research or clinical faculty did. I didn't understand the pieces of the FTEs required. So it was definitely one of the most challenging times, is having to quickly figure out what the department perspective was,
right,
and
what they needed,
turn that budget around and submit it on time. I have to say, I didn't overcome it alone. I was lucky in that my chair was actually really gracious. He actually sat next to me at my desk, and we went through a lot of the numbers, and he explained to me the business of the department.
There's no better way to learn than that, right?
Yeah, he sat with me and just said, no, this doesn't look right. Let me see what the details are. And he kind of walked me through, the details I didn't know. I didn't yet know the faculty names or, any of the services they provided. And then, of course, the dean's office was also really helpful. So at the time, the dean's office knew. Of course, I was new in the role. I was trying to get the budget put together, and they wanted me to get the budget to them.
Of course, they were like, no, this is for everyone's benefit that we get this in.
So they were really helpful in showing me the tools and making sure I had what I needed to get it done.
I really love that story for 2 reasons. Number one, you went and did something you had never done before, right? And you weren't scared. You went through it. You had a clear head. But the second part of it is you really used your resources. And I think that's something here at UT that sometimes I think we take for granted, on how good we have of resources and support group here.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes we need reminders here on how good of everyone that we have. Like, I can lean in, I know I can call this person, or that person's in the dean's office, or I have a question about this, It's for being such a big organization, it's still a tight-knit community. So
I definitely agree with that. I have found in my career and experience that folks are really helpful, and that if you just ask the question, folks are happy to share what it is they know, or provide at least direction. Well, I might know up to this point, but this is the next person that can help answer the next question.
Yeah, and I don't think sometimes people are afraid to ask questions, right? And I think that the number one thing when somebody starts a new job, I'm like, ask questions. Please ask a lot of questions. There's no such thing as a question that, can't be answered, or if I don't know, I will help you find the answer to it. So I appreciate that. And what advice would you give a UT Health employee who's interested in pursuing career advancement here within the university? What's your go-to?
Well, our organization has grown a lot in my time here, and we're continuing to grow. So I think, first, the institution offers a lot of opportunity. I think folks should find what they're passionate about, find some passion. I would also say not to be afraid of the evolution of your career. I mean, as you know, if we've talked through today how I thought I was going to be a chemical engineer, and then I was an accountant, and I'm kind of something different now. And so not to be afraid of that evolution of your career and the evolution of the things that interest you. I think that's always a good thing to explore. And lastly, to take opportunities that might be outside your scope. It's okay to learn things that maybe you're not going to use in your day-to-day, but just to be interested in things that happen around the organization. If you find opportunities to be involved or participate, to do it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Because I think a lot of folks, sometimes they'll see something, oh, I kind of like that, but I don't meet all the requirements. But you do. You know, there's actually things that you're selling yourself short sometimes. So, no, I appreciate you sharing that. What is your best time management tip?
My best time management skip. I actually use probably 3 things that help me. First, I use electronic notes. I just find, although I used to love writing paper notes, sometimes it's really helpful to memorize things.
Do you do the ones that you like put on your computer that show up as like little Post-its on the computer?
I don't actually. I use OneNote.
Oh, okay. You use OneNote.
I find it easy to sync across my devices. I have my notes with me all the time. I can sort, and you can do all sorts of cool. There's all sorts of cool functionality in OneNote.
Okay.
So I like to use OneNote for my notes to keep everything in one place. The other thing that people would disagree with me on for sure, but it works for me, is the way I prefer to manage tasks. So if I have a to-do list of 10 things, 8 of those might be, I don't want to say easy, but maybe less complex. Then I've got 2 complex things. What most people will tell you is to tackle the complex things first. I do it the opposite. I prefer to tackle the non-complex things first. So I'll take care of the 8 things because I feel that when I go to the complex items, I don't have the other 8 things hovering over me. So as I'm trying to concentrate and focus on those complex things, I keep thinking, I've got all these other things to do.
Little things.
All these other things to get to. If I take care of the little things, then I can really dedicate my time on those complex things. I don't have, this dark cloud.
No, that's a really good perspective, because there's sometimes I've woken up and be like, wait, did I submit that form that I needed to submit? And when I was working on something else that was much more, bigger or more important, as someone would say. But no, I'll try that one, Monique, and I'll let you know how it works. Because I feel like multitasking is just not reality. Like, you really don't ever fully multitask. I don't know. Some people may disagree with me on that one.
Sometimes you can't. You've got to dedicate, dedicated time for something. Sometimes you just can't.
And what advice would you give the younger Monique? What would you tell her?
I would tell me to be patient. I mean, I've been in my career for 18 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought I was going to be a chemical engineer. And so I tell myself to be patient and to enjoy the evolution.
I like that. And if you were not the Senior Director of Business Service Quality, what would you be doing? What's your dream job?
I think this is my dream job.
Yeah. Nice.
Like I said, I get to be involved in a lot of process improvements, which is really my passion. But if I wasn't in this role, I would still be doing process improvement. It's something that's been a recurring theme in all the roles that I've had here. At the varying levels. Sometimes it was restricted to an improvement in just my department. So now I get to influence change and improvement across the organization. But I think I would definitely want to be involved in the changes that the organization is undergoing.
And outside of work, what do you like to do to kind of keep that work-life balance?
I am a gamer. I'm a console gamer.
Really? What kind of games?
I particularly play PlayStation, but I also do Xbox. Right now it's Diablo 4, but I've played a variety of games, Destiny, Assassin's Creed, BioShock was one of my favorite series. So it's really gaming.
Really? Okay, well, I'll have to pick your brain, because my son is about to turn 10, and he's currently into Fortnite, which is probably like, down here on your level of gaming. Sorry, Sonny. But I have no idea now. I mean, I literally haven't played a game since like Mario Brothers, like Kart, like back in the 90s.
Those were all great.
They were classics. We had the like Olympic thing where you would run and do the whole thing. But now even the controller, I'm like, why are there so many buttons? Who did this? So I'm gonna have to pick your brain on that, because I have my gaming skills are.
Yeah, I've been gaming actually since I was 6 years old. So
wow, what was your first game?
I played Atari with my brother. We played boxing, horse racing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the horse racing one. The boxing one was good, too. The Mike Tyson one. And Atari.
I don't remember who was on Atari, but when I was 6, I don't exactly remember who was on it. But I remember horse racing. My brother used to beat me all the time.
Older?
As you'd expect. Yeah, he's older.
Okay, and you came from a family of 6. Are you the youngest? Or
I am. I'm the youngest.
You're the baby of 6. Oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, then you got probably through the ringer a lot with your siblings.
I did.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That concludes our standard set of questions. I'm going to move into our rapid fire set of questions, and one of these days I'm going to get some like theme music for that too. What is your favorite color?
Red.
Red.
Yep.
Favorite food?
That's kind of hard for me. It kind of depends on the season, kind of depends on the mood. If I was going to at least narrow it down, it would be desserts. I like cakes,
Desserts
pies.
is a food group, Monique.
It is. I'd have to say it's my favorite.
What's your favorite dessert? I guess you probably don't have a favorite.
I don't. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
I like cherry pie. I like chocolate cake and raspberry.
It's a good combo.
Cream cheese frosting and blueberry cake. Lemon meringue. I like a banana cream pie.
Oh, yeah. Banana pudding, just if you say banana pudding, like, yeah.
Lemon cookies. So it's desserts.
Yeah, all desserts. That's definitely a food group. And what is your favorite movie?
That's kind of hard, too, because I like a lot of movies. Again, it kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. I have a couple of go-to movies, but I have to say, if I have to pick one, I would pick Dune, the 1980s one. I like the new one.
Yeah.
But I really like the 1980s one. In the movie, if you've seen it, I call it the whispering. I don't know what other people refer to it as, but you kind of get to hear what people are thinking in the movie.
Really?
Kind of
I never noticed that.
So
yeah.
I call it the whispering. That's really why I like the movie.
Okay, I'm going to have to go watch it now just to pay attention to that part. And if you could have any dream vacation, where would you go?
Japan.
Japan. Oh,
Yeah.
Have you been before?
I've not. It looks beautiful, and I think the culture looks amazing, and just the different things they have in Japan. I'd definitely love to go there.
Awesome. And dream car?
If I was going to pick a dream car, I think I'd have to test drive it first. I'm pretty picky about the way I enjoy driving, and so I like to enjoy my car.
Enjoy the ride.
I think I'd have to test drive it first, but if I was going to actively look for a test drive, it'd probably be right now the Porsche GT3 RS.
Okay.
Never driven a Porsche, but
why not? Yeah.
it looks interesting.
You know you can go test drive it even if you're not going to buy a car.
I don't know if they'd let me drive that one.
They might. I'm sure we could make it happen for you. I'm sure we know some people.
That'd probably result in the credit pool.
I know, right? Just to see if you're qualified here. And if you could be any kitchen appliance, what would you be?
I'd be a food processor because I like processing stuff.
I love the food processor. You're my first food processor, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, you are.
Interesting.
But it absolutely makes sense for your role and how much you've contributed to the institution. And just on, like I said, on the receiving end of all the things that you've helped with, thank you. Because from our level all the way up and down, you've hit so many people and made lives better for real on our level, just to do our job more efficiently and also to streamline some processes and get some consistency when it comes to what we do in the high level of quality. So thank you, because it really does impact us here on the other side of things. And I know I can speak to a lot of other people. So thanks, Monique.
Thank you. I think I really appreciate you saying that. I find it really rewarding that it's had a good impact on you.
Definitely.
And so, like I said, I'm always listening. I'm trying to always listen to what the organization is telling me. I'm trying to make that change. So I'm always here.
Well, you've definitely make lives better. We're going to have to put you on the T-shirt next year.
That'd be great.
I know. We know some people in marketing and communications, I think, that could make that happen. Well, Monique, thank you for joining us today on our Leadership Podcast. It's been awesome having you on today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you for taking time to listen to today's podcast, brought to you by the Staff Advisory Council in partnership with Marketing and Communications. Find us on My UT Health and submit ideas for future episodes. I'm Celeste Rodriguez, and remember, the only one that can reach their full potential and create a better tomorrow is you. Thank you so much for listening.